So that's kind of a tough thing. Most of us don't like to kind of envision those things. But the truth of the matter is he picked a perfect scenario to paint the idea of beginning with the end in mind. Because there is no bigger end than your death, correct? And as you look back, or you look forward to that point in time, what do you want to have happened that gets fulfilled by that point in time? Does that make sense? So if you have clarity about how you want it to end, you know how to make the decisions and take the actions that you have to take along the path. And I think that that's a really tough thing for most people to be able to visualize. I hope that as you were walking through that number one, that you took the time to actually walk through it and you didn't just say, yeah, I should have done talking in a couple of minutes. Because if you went that way, you missed the whole point of what the exercise was, which was to really think about what does it mean to start with the end in mind. So now we're going to kind of transition it over to a little bit of a business setting, because I try to stay out of your personal lives and only in your business lives. And I want to have you think about your business. If habit 2 is starting with the end in mind, what do you want your business to look like? How do you want to show up in your business? What do you want this to say about who you are as a person and what you have accomplished? And when you have clarity about that vision, then all of a sudden, the decisions that you have to make, do I spend money on this? Do I not spend money on that? Do I spend time on this? Do I not spend time on that? Do I make this decision to go and invest over here? All of those things become a lot more clear, and that's why it's habit number 2, effectiveness. Because when we are more I hate to say the word effective, but when we're more intentional about the decisions that we make, we increase our effectiveness. Does that make sense? All right. So Covey goes on to talk about there's two, that although habit 2 applies to many different circumstances and levels of life, the most fundamental application begins with the end in mind, is to begin with the image, picture, or paradigm of the end of your life as a frame of reference. And so we were just talking about that. For now, let's just kind of switch over. If you've got a blank piece of paper, start taking little notes for yourself of what do you want your business to look like? What do you want it to, how does it look? Is it a referral business? Is it a innovative business? Is it passive? Is it aggressive? What is this? How do you want it to show up in your world? Does that make sense? Start just making some notes in your margins about what that says for you. It's incredibly easy to get caught up in the activity trap, in the busyness of life, to work harder and harder at climbing the ladder of success, only to discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. It's possible to be busy, very, very busy, without being effective. That's like speaking to me directly. I am the person who I know I can be busy 24 hours a day, and all of a sudden I can look back over the last 24 hours and go, I did what? Where did my time go? What happened? So understanding, because you have the end in mind, is your ladder, are you climbing the right ladder? Are you going in the right direction? Does that make sense? So I want you to think about, where is your ladder today? Where you have your end in mind. And no, you don't have your end in mind, but assuming you have your end in mind. Because if you came up with it that fast, it's probably not a well thought out end in mind. Okay, it's a wish or a hope or a prayer at this point. We need you to really actually put some reflection into this and have some thought as to what that end in mind is. But then I want you to actually start making some notes about, where do you think you are today relative to where you want to go? And are you going down the right path? Are you headed down a path that's serving you well, or are you headed down a path that is not serving you well and getting you to the end in mind? All right?